These are the darkest mysteries in NBA history, and some of these stories get intense. Welcome back to Triple Double, it's your boy Will, and today we're going over some really dark NBA mysteries. Real quick, do me a favor by dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. Now let's get into it. So our first NBA mystery has to do with Michael Jordan, aka the GOAT. We all know what MJ did on the court, winning 6 rings, taking everything personal, and becoming a sports icon. But what if I told you he's not the person that we all think he is? See, back in the 1990s, Jordan was the biggest star in sports. Between his on-the-court play, his endorsements, and of course his very own sneaker line with Nike, he was on top of the world. Literally. And when you're on top, you want to stay there. But for some very odd reason, he retired right in the middle of his prime. Why would he do that? He had just won 3 rings in a row with the Bulls, and he didn't have anything left to prove really. Everyone knew he was the greatest player ever. But years before he won those rings, he was overshadowed by legends like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and even the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons. It just didn't make sense that the most competitive athlete ever would retire when he still has more to give to the game. And that's where this mystery starts. In 1992, after winning his second championship, Jordan was called to testify in the criminal trial of James Buehler. To explain why Buehler, a convicted drug dealer, was in possession of a Jordan-signed personal check for $57,000. First, Jordan claimed that it was a business loan, but under oath, he admitted that it was a payment for gambling losses. And it wasn't gambling losses over a long period of time, it was for a single weekend. Yeah, Jordan had a lot of money, but we already know that. Then, in early 1993, a San Diego businessman, Richard Equinas, revealed in his book called Michael and Me, Our Gambling Addiction, that he had won over $900,000 from Jordan in golf betting. I'm sure that motivated Jordan to become a lot better in golfing, because he almost lost $1 million. That's crazy. Around that same time, MJ was spotted in an Atlantic City casino in the early hours on the morning of a Game 2 Eastern Conference Finals matchup. It's borderline degenerate gambling. The guy has a playoff game later that day, but he's in a casino that same morning. I think it's an issue. It was clear Jordan was deep in the gambling scene. And then after the Bulls won their 3rd championship, the NBA finally launched an investigation into Jordan's gambling problems to check whether he had violated any league rules. And 4 months after launching the investigation, Jordan stunned the world by suddenly retiring from basketball. Is it a coincidence? I don't think so. And to make things even weirder, when Jordan was asked at a press conference if he would ever come back out of retirement, he said this: "If David Stern lets me back in the league, I may come back." So clearly, David Stern did play a role in his retirement. Or was it a cover-up for a suspension and they used the word retirement as a distraction? I don't know. What do you think? Regardless, Jordan found his next sport in baseball, and everyone was focused on that rather than diving deeper into the gambling mystery. And eventually, he did come back to the NBA and won 3 more rings. It's just a really odd mystery. Comment down below, what do you think happened? Now what I'm about to talk about next is quite possibly the most unbelievable scandal in NBA history. I'm talking about NBA referees fixing games. Yeah, this is a huge deal. In 2007, former NBA referee Tim Donaghy was arrested for betting on hundreds of games, including games that he refereed himself. Yeah, you can't make this up. He was betting on games that he had control on. I guess that's not much of a bet anymore, but what he did was simple. He often bet on his own games, and for a small fee like $2,000 per game, he would collude with gamblers to let them know which team would cover the point spread. Yeah, this is some advanced stuff, and he was almost always right. He would risk a lot more than the money. These gamblers weren't just any people, we're talking about the mafia. It got really ugly. I mean, even the FBI got involved. It was such a big scandal that Donaghy got sentenced to 16 months in jail. But to this day, he claims that he never fixed any games. I don't know if I believe that. But what he did say is that there's some players who'll help out with calls more than others. So I guess that's every NBA referee. But the scandal really hurt the credibility and integrity of the NBA. There were always allegations that playoff games were fixed so that big market teams would advance. For example, the Lakers vs. Kings Western Conference Finals, that series looked clearly fixed. The Kings were getting screwed over so badly that Kobe, Shaq, and the Lakers advanced to the finals. Now, of course, people would rather watch the Lakers instead of the Kings in the finals, so claiming that refs rigged that game isn't far-fetched. But of course, the NBA is always going to deny it. We'll just never know. So that was a pretty huge scandal. But something just as huge was the Donald Sterling scandal in 2014. This was crazy and pretty recent. Donald Sterling was the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers before NBA Commissioner Adam Silver banned him from the NBA for life and fined him $2.5 million, which is pennies to sterling. But you may be wondering, what did he do to deserve all this? Well, a lot. Sterling was a racist, simply put. And when audio clips got leaked of Sterling saying that he didn't want to associate with black people and would be upset when Magic Johnson showed up to Clipper games, it sparked huge controversy. I mean, how can you hate on Magic? But the bigger issue is, why is an NBA owner being racist? It was just so random too, out of nowhere. The Clippers were actually a good team that year and had momentum to do big things in the playoffs. They had Lob City and they could have went far. But then boom, out of nowhere, this audio gets released, and I personally think that ruined the Clippers team and their future.
I can't believe you guys are doing this to me.
Mr. Sterling, in light of your recent comments, we just don't think it's a good idea. The NAACP simply can't give an award to a racist.
Look, I've been a racist for years. Why is this a problem all of a sudden?
Sir, are you bragging to me that you're a racist?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to come off pompous. I just have a long history of racism.
It was just a really unfortunate situation in the NBA, and Clippers players stood together to protest against Donald Sterling, and he was forced to sell the team. But the timing of it was just so odd. Donald Sterling was the NBA owner for many years. It just happened so suddenly. Now, as bad as that was, we have an NBA mystery that's never been solved. I'm talking about the 1985 NBA draft lottery. The conspiracy is that this draft lottery was rigged, and it's actually pretty convincing, which is why I think this is the best mystery in NBA history. The story goes like this. Commissioner David Stern rigged the NBA draft lottery so the New York Knicks would get the first pick. Now, the Knicks were obviously a big city team. It's good for the NBA when a huge city like New York has a good team. It means more money, obviously. But there was one team in the way of that, the San Diego Clippers, who were owned by none other than Donald Sterling himself. But that year, Patrick Ewing was obviously the best player in the draft class, after dominating in college at Georgetown. It would be huge for New York to get him. So how did the NBA rig this lottery? A frozen envelope. And the footage of the draft lottery shows it clearly. Every team has their own envelope, but there was one envelope in specific that had a crease in the corner. The reason for that was when David Stern picks it out, he knows the creased one is the New York Knicks envelope, making it easier to rig it. And that's exactly what happened. And when Stern was pressed about rigging it, he didn't really care and brushed it off. At the end of the day, business is business. And deep down inside, I feel like he knew the Knicks getting a star player would be huge for the league financially, and he was willing to do whatever it took. And it worked out because Patrick Ewing became a Knicks legend. But too bad New York has sucked ever since. And with that being said, that wraps up today's video on some of the darkest mysteries in NBA history. Comment down below, what do you think is the worst one? And remember to drop a like and subscribe to Triple Double for more videos.